Before we start, try a quick thought experiment. Think about the richest looking person you know, the nicest car, the designer clothes, the perfect Instagram life. Now here's the uncomfortable question. What if that person is actually broke? Not struggling a little, but quietly drowning in debt. Because today something strange is happening in the modern economy. Millions of people are getting better at looking rich while becoming worse at building real wealth. Luxury cars are everywhere, designer brands are everywhere, social media is overflowing with success. Yet at the same time, household debt is hitting record levels and financial stress is rising. Somewhere along the way, we started confusing the appearance of wealth with the reality of wealth. And once you understand how this illusion works, you begin to notice something unsettling. Fake rich behavior is everywhere, in coworkers, in influencers, in friends, and sometimes even in ourselves. A luxury car pulls into a parking lot outside a coffee shop. The paint shines and the badge on the hood is unmistakable, while the engine hums quietly as the driver steps out. From a distance, everything about the moment signals success, but inside that same person's bank account, there might be less than $100. At the next table, someone carefully sets a designer handbag on the chair beside them. The logo is bold and the bag costs several $1,000s, yet their emergency fund might not even cover a single unexpected expense. Across the room, a man enthusiastically explains his investment strategy to friends. He talks about markets, crypto, business deals, and big opportunities. But what he doesn't mention is that his credit card balance is larger than his actual investments. And online influencers post photos of luxury hotels, shopping sprees, and glamorous travel. What those photos don't show is the unpaid bills, the debt, or the financial stress quietly building behind the scenes. This contradiction isn't rare anymore. According to the Federal Reserve's latest consumer credit reports, Americans now carry over $1.3 trillion in revolving credit card debt, one of the highest levels ever recorded. At the same time, luxury brands continue selling billions of dollars in products every year. And luxury vehicles consistently make up a large share of new car sales. Social media displays more wealth than ever before, but real financial security hasn't grown at the same pace. Something doesn't add up. The gap between how wealthy people appear and how financially secure they actually are has become enormous. A growing number of psychologists and behavioral economists have noticed the same pattern. People increasingly invest more energy into looking wealthy than becoming wealthy. This is what many people now call being fake rich. Fake rich doesn't mean someone occasionally buys something nice. It means someone builds the appearance of wealth while quietly weakening the financial foundation underneath their life. Real wealth tends to be quiet, while fake wealth tends to be loud. Once you understand the difference, you begin to notice the signals everywhere, and more importantly, you learn how to avoid falling into the same trap yourself. Here are 10 signs someone might be pretending to be rich, and why these habits quietly destroy real wealth. The entry-level luxury trap. One of the most common signals of fake wealth is buying the cheapest version of the most prestigious brand. The base model luxury car, the logo belt, the entry-level designer handbag. The goal isn't necessarily the product. The goal is the symbol. Luxury companies understand this psychology extremely well, and many brands intentionally offer lower-priced entry products so people can access the logo without accessing the full experience. But financially, this decision often makes little sense. A fully equipped mainstream car like a Honda Accord or Toyota Camry often costs roughly the same as the base model of a luxury sedan. Yet the mainstream car usually has better reliability ratings, lower maintenance costs, and cheaper insurance. The difference isn't practical value. The difference is status signaling. Someone chasing status wants other people to see the badge, while someone building wealth cares about value and long-term cost. Over time, the math compounds through higher insurance, more expensive repairs, and premium fuel. Over years, the total cost difference can easily reach tens of thousands of dollars. Research on conspicuous consumption has consistently shown something interesting. People trying to signal status often allocate a much larger portion of their income toward visible purchases, while wealthier households tend to spend a much smaller percentage of income on those same signals. The fake rich buy the symbol first and hope success follows, while the truly wealthy usually wait until success already exists. constant money talk. Another signal is someone who constantly steers conversations toward money. Every topic somehow returns to income, deals, investments, or financial success. Mention a vacation and suddenly they explain their spending power. Talk about work, and they immediately mention how much they earn. Share good news, and somehow the conversation becomes about their achievements instead. At first, it might sound like confidence, but psychologically, it often reflects something else. People who are secure about their finances rarely feel the need to constantly announce it. The repetition isn't for others, it's reassurance for themselves. There's also a very specific pattern you'll notice. The conversation often revolves around money that hasn't arrived yet. I've got a huge deal closing soon. This investment is about to take off. I'm working on something big. Everything exists in the future tense because the present reality doesn't match the projected image. Real money only counts when it's earned and retained. Until then, it's just possibility. Luxury purchases bigger than their savings. This is one of the most financially dangerous signs. Someone owns luxury items that cost more than their savings account. A $4,000 bag with $1,000 in the bank, or a luxury watch purchased with a maxed-out credit card. In those moments, the purchase isn't celebrating success. It's acting like success already happened. A simple rule many financially stable people follow is this: if buying something would seriously weaken your financial safety net, you probably can't afford it. Real wealth isn't measured by what you buy, but by how resilient your life remains after you buy it. A luxury item might impress someone for 5 seconds, but financial stress can last for years. The one-upper. Another sign appears in everyday conversations. The person who always has to top everyone else. You got a promotion, and they got a bigger one. You went on vacation, and they went somewhere more exclusive. You bought something nice, and they bought something more expensive. Every conversation quietly becomes a competition. This behavior often stems from insecurity rather than confidence. Studies on social comparison show that people frequently evaluate themselves by comparing their lives to those around them. When someone feels uncertain about their status, they may try to constantly prove they're ahead. But truly successful people rarely behave this way. Confidence allows space for other people's wins, while insecurity requires constant comparison. Social media wealth performance. Social media has dramatically amplified the illusion of wealth. Platforms reward visible consumption far more than financial discipline. A video titled "The Shopping Spree" almost always attracts more attention than one titled "Saving Money." Luxury experiences generate engagement, while financial responsibility rarely goes viral. This creates a strange incentive. People learn that performing wealth online generates attention, even if the wealth itself isn't real. So, the performance grows through designer purchases, luxury hotels, and exotic travel. But the behaviors that actually build wealth rarely appear online. Budgeting, investing consistently, saying no to unnecessary spending, and staying home instead of going out. Social media shows highlights, not reality. Yet the fake rich need others to believe those highlights represent everyday life. The endless luxury lease. Luxury car leasing has become extremely common, and at first glance, it seems reasonable because lower monthly payments make expensive cars feel accessible. But financially, leasing often means paying for the most expensive years of a car's life without ever owning the asset. Cars depreciate fastest during the first few years, and when someone leases a vehicle, they're essentially paying for that decline in value. After 3 years, the car goes back to the dealer and the cycle begins again. Lease, return, lease again. Over decades, someone who continually leases vehicles can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and still own nothing. The monthly payment looks manageable, but long-term wealth slowly disappears. Counterfeit status. Another signal is counterfeit luxury goods. Imitation designer items exist primarily for one reason: appearance. But people familiar with luxury products can usually identify counterfeits quickly through the stitching, the materials, and the weight of the hardware. Small details reveal the difference. Ironically, counterfeit goods often cost hundreds of dollars, money that could buy a genuinely well-made product from a smaller brand. But the goal isn't craftsmanship. The goal is recognition. The logo carries social meaning, and that meaning reveals the underlying motivation. The endless next opportunity. Another pattern appears in people constantly chasing the next big financial opportunity. Every few months there's a new system, a trading strategy, a business model, or a financial shortcut. Each one promises life-changing income and each one feels urgent. But when the excitement fades, the results rarely match the expectations. So the cycle repeats with another opportunity, another promise, and another reset. Real wealth rarely comes from dramatic financial breakthroughs. It usually grows through consistent saving, investing, and patience. But slow progress rarely attracts attention, and fake wealth thrives on attention. Condescending money advice. Another signal appears when someone frequently criticizes other people's financial decisions. You're happy with your apartment and they suggest upgrading. You drive a reliable used car and they question why you haven't financed something newer. You save aggressively and they insist you should spend or invest differently. Often the advice is unsolicited and it always points toward the same conclusion. You should make the same choices they did. But genuine financial expertise recognizes something important. Different people have different goals, different risk tolerance, and different timelines. One strategy rarely fits everyone. People confident in their decisions don't need others to validate them, but people unsure about their choices often do. Overdoing the aesthetic. The final signal is simply excess. Too many luxury logos, too many expensive accessories, too many signals of status at once. Instead of looking successful, the effect becomes theatrical, almost like someone trying to imitate what they believe wealthy people should look like. Interestingly, photos of many real billionaires on ordinary days reveal something very different. Simple clothing, minimal accessories, and little effort to display status. They already know what they've built. Fake wealth operates from the opposite mindset, where everything becomes evidence, and every item must signal success. The louder the display, the stronger the attempt to convince others, and sometimes themselves. The real difference between fake wealth and real wealth. At the deepest level, the difference between fake rich and real wealth comes down to what decisions optimize for. Fake rich decisions optimize for appearance. Will people be impressed? Will this signal success? Will others think I'm doing well? Real wealth decisions optimize for freedom. Does this strengthen my financial position? Does this move me closer to independence? Does this choice align with my real priorities? One path builds wealth quietly while the other drains it. Maintaining the illusion of wealth is expensive because luxury cars need replacing, designer wardrobes need updating, and the lifestyle constantly needs reinforcing while little money flows toward the things that actually build security, such as savings, investments, and long-term assets. Eventually, the performance becomes exhausting. The question that actually matters. The next time you see someone projecting wealth, look a little closer at the entry-level luxury purchases, the constant money talk, the social media performance, the endless comparisons, and the expensive lifestyle built on fragile finances. Fake rich is everywhere once you recognize the patterns. But the most important question isn't about spotting it in others. It's about recognizing it in ourselves. Are your financial decisions designed to impress people, or are they designed to give you freedom? Real wealth rarely looks dramatic. It grows slowly, quietly, and often invisibly. Over time, something powerful happens. You gain options, you gain security, and you gain the ability to make decisions without financial pressure. And that leads to a simple truth most people eventually discover. Looking rich buys attention, but being rich buys freedom. If this video made you rethink how people signal wealth, comment real wealth below. I'm curious how many of you have noticed these patterns in real life. And if you want more videos about the psychology of money, hidden financial traps, and how people actually build lasting wealth, make sure you subscribe. Because the truth is, the biggest financial mistakes aren't always obvious. Sometimes they look exactly like success. Thanks for watching.